Did you know there's a flight that takes off and lands in Rhode Island? It's a scheduled flight on a real airline, and to nobody's surprise, it takes only 12 minutes. But why does a state already crisscrossed with buses and trains need such a service? And can it deliver Chinese food? The only way to find out is to go for a flight. We start on board the MBTA commuter rail. This takes us down to Providence, where we admire the State House. Oh, it's the mythical thruway bus to Fall River. Someone on my Discord was saying that I should ride that sometime, so if you want to see me ride that, let me know. Then we hop on an Amtrak train. This takes us right past Rhode Island TF Green Airport, but for today's interstate adventure, we won't be flying there at all. Instead, we continue past Kingston and all the way down to Westerly. Now you might be wondering, where could this intrastate flight be if you've already crossed most of the state? Well, if you're from New England, you probably know where we're heading next. Susanna had to go to a bookshop.
We did have to.
While we're browsing for books and treats, let me explain what today's plan is. Westerly is about as west-early as you can get in Rhode Island. The river behind the cafe we sat in is the border with Connecticut, and it's about as far south as you can get in the state because we're pretty much on the water. But as it turns out, Rhode Island, which is not an island, has an island called Block Island, which isn't blocky in the slightest. To get on and off the island, you have two options, ferries or planes. And it just so happens that New England Airlines operates a year-round scheduled flight from Westerly all the way down to Block Island, the only commercial flight to take off and land in Rhode Island. We take an Uber to Westerly State Airport. So Susanna is checking the weather for Block Island.
See, so right now it's sunny with some clouds, and then it is a gale. I have never seen this as the weather forecast.
Me neither.
It's just wind. It doesn't even tell you that it's sunny or not. Like today, the weather is wind.
At the airport, we head into the small terminal building. Besides a check-in desk for New England Airlines, there's a seating area with promotional materials about Block Island, a couple of vending machines, restrooms, and an outdoor viewing area. New England Airlines is unusual in that it doesn't offer online booking. Instead, one must call in advance to reserve one's seats and pay upon arrival at the airport. Stay to the end to find out how much I paid for this trip. Also, as you can see, there is no airport security here. We just walked right out of the terminal. There's a little outdoor viewing area, and then right behind me are the planes. I brought my real ID just in case, but didn't end up needing it. Our aircraft for today is a Britten-Norman BN-2 Islander, powered by twin-piston engines. These and other aircraft are used for both Block Island flights and charter service around the Northeast. So one of the funniest things about New England Airlines is that not only do they deliver passengers to Block Island, they'll also sometimes deliver Chinese food. They actually have this menu for a local Chinese restaurant in the airport. You can call and place a delivery. They say they deliver within a 5-mile radius of the restaurant, while the airport happens to be within a 5-mile radius of the restaurant. So they have an agreement worked out with the airline. They'll bring the food to the airport, and then Block Island, or New England Airlines, will fly the food to Block Island. And we were going to do that, but unfortunately...
Did not work out. They only do delivery after 4 p.m. and we will be gone by 4 p.m.
Well, hopefully.
So, hopefully. If we get stuck there.
If we get stuck there, we will get Chinese food.
There will be options.
Quick shout out to all my Patreon supporters who made this video possible, and to Miles in Transit for telling me about this flight. I'm also going to use this segment to start shouting out creators from my Discord. This week, you guys should check out Lilly the Railfan, who visited filming locations from Stranger Things using Atlanta's public transit. And we are behind the pilot! I'm so excited. We walk around behind the engine to board, where we get a glimpse of the rather small interior, capable of sitting up to 8 people. As you can see, not every row gets a window, but we're right behind the pilots, giving us an excellent view as the engines come to life. In the seat back pocket in front of us, we find a rather Spartan safety card, along with a folder of some kind, not sure what this is. Each passenger gets a light and air vent, and a sign above forbids smoking on board. We taxi to the runway, and the pilot revs up the engines for takeoff. Today's high winds have not let up, and as we lift into the air, we start feeling the bumps right away. A few seconds later, and we're high enough to see the ocean. Still bumping along, we turn towards the coast, where the white crests of the waves are noticeable even up here. The silhouette of Block Island begins to emerge on the horizon, and out the right window, we speculate that we might be seeing the tip of Long Island as well. Icy wind whips through the pilot's window, which isn't properly sealed. Then, Clayhead, the northern end of Block Island, appears out the window, followed by the Great Salt Pond, home to the island's new harbor. Turning south, we can see the old harbor and the airport? But we're still so high up. I expect the pilot to land from the west, with the wind at his back, but as he explains to me later, this isn't ideal, as the wind isn't entirely aligned with the runway. Instead, we make a circle around the southern half of the island, with our pilot using the wind to almost drift the plane sideways on the turn. Definitely different from anything I've felt on a plane before. He calls this method a crab angle. Then, long before I've gotten tired of the views, this bumpy flight ends with a surprisingly smooth landing, and we taxi over to the Block Island Airport terminal. Block Island Airport is BID. Does that make it a poor bid?
Solid ground at last! That was crazy! That was one of the most insane flights I've ever done.
The terminal has similar amenities to that of Westerly, with a mural along the wall and ticketing facilities for both NEA and Fly the Whale, another airline which also runs this route during peak months. The next round of passengers is loaded up, and we watch the plane rev up and depart for the mainland. We, however, are opting for the ferry for our return trip, whose terminal is a roughly 1 mile walk from the airport. This turns out to be a pleasant outing, as we walk along roads, down meadow trails, and past old houses and the island's iconic stone walls. More walking takes us to Old Harbor, and as the perfect golden hour light strikes our ferry, we depart for the mainland. Beautiful sunset views give way to choppy water, because the wind is still blowing like crazy.
The ground isn't where you think it is, because the boat just keeps going up and down. This is rougher than the plane. Whoa!
If any of you guys are Navy veterans, feel free to roast my sea legs in the comments. Also, thank you for your service.
So I have Horizon Lock turned on my GoPro, and the ship is kind of rocking back and forth. So let's see if it captures that.
After an hour's crossing, we reach the shoreline of Port Judith, where we disembark, grab some clam cakes, and take an Uber to Wickford Junction to catch the commuter rail home. Overall, this 12-minute flight to Block Island cost me $76 booked day of. New England Airlines uses a fixed fare system, so it would still be the same fare if I'd booked it in advance. In comparison, my ferry ticket was just $10.30 for an hour-long ride. In November when I filmed this, New England Airlines had 9 departures on weekdays from Westerly to Block Island, starting at 7:30 a.m. and ending at 4:30 p.m., with 6 departures each on Saturdays and Sundays. I would definitely recommend this flight for the views and for the experience of flying a smaller twin-engine aircraft. It definitely feels a little more raw and adventurous than taking something like Cape Air or Southern Airways Express. But I will say, if you are a first-time flyer, you're a little nervous, and there's 25-mile-per-hour winds coming at you, you might want to hold off and take the ferry.
Sail away on the Block Island ferry.
So now that we're back on the train, we're going to review our flight in 10 words or less because we have the entire car to ourselves. Susanna, start us out with your 10-word review.
Like soaring as a bird over beautiful, glorious Rhode Island.
Mine was not nearly that clever. I'm not even going to share it. Thank you so much for watching. Take care until the next one.